crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this little lantern. It takes a battery operated tea light. I'm calling it the hometown lantern because the houses that comes from a set of dies called Hometown Greetings Edgelits Dies. I thought hometown sounds a lot easier than having to repeat all of that. This is the one that I showed on my video, on my blog today rather, and I wasn't happy with it because you could see the top of the lid from over the top of the decoration here. So I made this one a bit bigger. As you can see, it's not much bigger, but it is definitely bigger enough, sufficiently extra to make it so that you can't see the lid on that one. Okay, you see the difference there. So this one looks much nicer, and it was only a question of adding on 1/8 of an inch. So let me tell you the card pieces. Oh, by the way, I know you can't see the benefit of the candle in there, the night light in there. So what I'm going to do is, once I've finished the video and I've said cheerio to you, I'm going to get up and turn all the lights off so that you can see what it's like in the dark. It actually looks better in a room with subdued lighting rather than no lighting. But I'll show you, you'll see it as it gets darker as I gradually turn the lights off. So you can see the real beauty of this. So to start off with, the card pieces that you're going to need, there's only 3. And all 3 of them need to be 8.5 inches long, which is 21.5 centimetres. First of all, you need the Vellum, our Vellum cardstock, and this is a really lovely thickness. And this is 2 1/8 inches wide, which is 5.4 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of whisper white, one which is 3/4 of an inch wide, which is 1.9 centimetres, and the other one which is 1 1/8 inches wide, which is 2.8 centimetres. So to start off with, I'm going to do the dry embossing on the vellum, and then I'm going to do the die cutting on the wider piece. The narrow piece is for the decoration at the top there. So I'm going to bring my big shot up. And you probably remember that when I'm telling you to, when you're using the embossing folders, to make sure that the fold of the folder goes through the machine first. But with this, you can't, because you need to emboss lengthways, and you're going to have to do it in 2 goes. So this time it has to go sideways. Now the way I do this is, oh, that's the way round I did it. If you want to use the part of the embossing folder that has less snow on it, then I suggest that you line this up where you've got 2 little snowflakes approximately on the same level there, so that when you put the next part in, you can line that up so it's approximately the same level. It doesn't have to be precise, but as long as it's round about that kind of level, so that you've got the same amount of snow falling. You don't want to do one light and then one dark, because that would be very noticeable. If you prefer the darker ones, what I suggest you do is, when you put your vellum in there, line it up so that it's just above the S on Sizzix, and then when you move it over and put your next piece in, you know to line it up with Sizzix again. Okay, and when you start, put your pieces in so that you've got it in fully on your left hand side. Okay, so you're starting off on the Sizzix here, or you're starting off with the 2 snowflakes there, that one and that one. Alright, And the reason I say that is because when you come to put the next piece in, you're going to be putting it in from about there, so you can still line up with your 2 snowflakes, and you can still line up just above the S on the Sizzix. Alright, so I'm going to do mine on the fewer snowflakes, the lighter snowfall. So I'm lining mine up on the 2 snowflakes there, making sure that it's sort of straight. Again, doesn't really matter, and I'm putting this through so that this comes through last, just in case as I'm putting this in, if that's going in first, I might damage it as it's going in. Right, so with this, because it's a 6x6 embossing folder, you must make sure that you've got it lined up straight, and you put the second cutting mat on top, and then you crank it through. Sorry, I should have said that I've got the normal platform on the machine. That's this one. It's the one that comes with the thin die adapter, but you don't need the thin die adapter when you're doing embossing. Okay, so that's what I've used on that. Okay, so that piece is embossed beautifully. Now I've got to do this, and what I don't want to do is to overlap it, and I don't want to get a spare bit down, unembossed bit down there. So what I'm going to do is that last snow there, I'm going to line that up just on the outside. You can see where the next bits of snow are, so you can see that it's going to be next to each other. But equally, I'm going to bring this down so that I'm lining up along here again. Okay, so let's see. Those 2 are lined up nicely, and those 2 snowflakes are lining up against the outside there. So this time I'm going to have it round the fold this side, so that this bit here can go through last. Oops. Just get that back into position again. That's it. Oops. So there we have embossed all the way along. We know where the join is, but nobody else would. Okay, in fact I'll be using it that way so that the snow is getting heavier as it goes down. Right, if I remember, that is. Now I don't need that one anymore. Now I'm going to use my magnetic platform. I'm going to use one cutting mat. I'm going to bring my wider piece of Whisper White cardstock, and these are the Hometown Greetings Edgelits Dies. There is a stamp set that coordinates with it, which is called Hearts Come Home, and if you buy the 2 as a bundle, you get 10% off. So all I'm using is the little houses that don't have any windows or anything. The only reason those holes are there are because so that you can push out the push the paper out if it doesn't just fall out by itself. Right, so how did I do this? That's 8.5, so that's 4. Right. Oh, I know what I did. What you need is to measure where halfway is along here. Now I'm using my grid paper. I know you can't see this, but I'm just measuring 4.25 inches rather. There we go. Okay, so that's 4.25 inches, which is halfway along here. So what I did was, for my first die cut, I lined it up with that mark, and I did my chimney so it's right near the top but leaving a tiny little gap there, and then I made sure that this is straight, it's parallel with the bottom there, which from where I'm sitting that looks okay. So that's going to be my first die cut. Now the box size is 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches, but obviously you can't just say 8 inches to go all the way round, because it increases slightly as you go round the corner. So what we need is, for the next one, the cutting edge along this horizontal bit, let me use that on the finger, this bit along here is actually on the top of that die. Okay, so wherever you put that bit down, that's where it's going to actually cut. So I want the cut to be almost joining onto that. I want a tad gap between it. If you leave that little bit of a gap there, you know that as this strip gets wrapped around, it's all going to be lining up. You're not going to run out. You're not going to finish up with 1.5 houses on one. Okay, so can you see the gap that I've got there? Okay, you can just about see, I don't know what's that, about 1/16 of an inch. I don't, could be an eighth, I suppose. I don't think so. But just a small gap, and then you crank that one through. And then you do that again for the end here. Okay, so leave a little gap. Make sure this is parallel to the line down here. That's level with that line. And put the chimney on that house almost to the top. Okay. So although you only want 4 rows of houses, we are actually cranking this through 5 times. Now come back to this end. Now we're going to start adding on from here. Got a small gap between the end of that cut to where this is going to start cutting. Chimney is right near the top, and that looks straight. And then after this we've got one more that's just half of a cut, or probably 2/3 actually, isn't it, because I think there'll be 2 houses. In fact we have 1.5 this end, but something like that. So let's put this one on. There we go. That doesn't look very straight, does it? That's better, I think. Chimney's near the top. There we go. Now obviously these sets of houses are going to be joined together, so we need to cut them. Right, we don't need that anymore. Let's pop that on there. Right, now, okay, we're going to be joined like that. So you just take a pair of paper snips and you go in and cut so that it drops off like that. If you're like me and you haven't got it absolutely level, just cut it slightly upwards or downwards, whatever you need. It's just a little bit hilly between these 2 houses. There we go, is that one. And cut that one. Oh, that one looks quite straight. And then the last one. Oops. A bit lumpy. Let's get rid of that. There we go. I mean, if those lines are a little bit up and down, it doesn't really matter, as long as this one's straight. Right, so there's that and that done. Now the other strip, or what we're going to do, is we are going to use our Decorative ribbon border punch. And if you've never used one of these before, what you need to do is you put your cardstock in and always make sure the uncut cardstock is resting right against the back here, okay, on there. Let's show you, like that. And then as you're working through, you have to line up, and the way you line up is by where you've already punched a pattern, you have to line it up over here. So let me show you what I mean there. Now I'm going to start right there, because I think that's at the end of a pattern. Okay, my two fingers are making sure that that's pushed against the edge and that's pushed against the edge. Alright, now I'm going to have to turn this round so that I can see. Normally I would just do it like this and keep on coming down, but I need to line this up and I need you to be able to see it as well. So I need to do this bit first. So what I'm going to do is bring this one down here. I make sure the last one comes out and I can see that that's the last one because that's solid. So that's got to go back in, that first one, and I'm going to line that one up. Okay, so if I line that up there. Now obviously I can't see the straight edge down there, so what I do is I just give that a little bit of a pull so that I know that that is on the edge there. I can just about see that bit there. Is that going to... Yes, that's all right. Okay, so I've lined that up there. Those little bits of silver are showing through the hole. Those silver are showing through. Now when I press on this, I moved it. That is what should not happen. Okay, let me just get another piece. Let's try that again. Don't know if this piece is 8.5 inches long. Let's have a look. Normally I stand up. Yes, it is. I normally stand up and do things like this. So let's try that again. Right, push it through to the end first. Right, no more talking. You have explained. Right, pull that one through. You push it back in so you can line up that. Right. That's much better. Now I'm not going to worry about that little bit there. I'm going to cut that. Now I'm coming down to this end. I bring the last one out. That is the one that I'm going to be lining up. Make sure this is lined up against there. There we go. Bring the last one out. Now that's the one I'm going to be lining up, which is just there. Make sure that's against here. Bring it right out. That's the one that's got to go back in. That's the one I'm going to be lining up. And there we go. Alright, I'm just going to cut those last bits off. It makes it a bit shorter than I need, but that's fine. I've allowed for that in my measurements. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that up to meet up with that line, and likewise cut that up to meet up with that line. So these are my 3 pieces, and all we need to do now is to put this together. Now I have this box here, which is what I call my working box. It's very easy when you're working with these and you're using Tombow. It's very easy to get glue on here. You could work with these with the film on it. I will show you towards the end, once I'm ready to get my new box ready. You'll see that there is a film on it, but I don't like, well, it just doesn't suit me. I'd much rather have one box that is my working box, especially when it's something like this and I can just slide this off, because this is the equivalent of a belly band really, and slide it off of my work one and I can slide it onto a new one. So first of all, let's start with our vellum. Now I work from this as the front of my box, okay, with the little finger notch. And what I do is I look at this so that this is approximately halfway. Okay, I think that's about, that length is about the same as that length. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push one side down. I'm holding that in place so it's not moving, so I can just move that down. I can take it off and then fold that, making sure these line up, and that will give me a good crease down there. I don't use a bone folder on this. To me that's a really good fold, so don't really need a bone folder. So I pop that back into place, hold that there, and then I'm going to fold that one over, just enough to give me a crease there, and then I'm going to do that one properly, making sure that that all lines up. Pop that over there, hold that in place, and then I am going to fold that one over, and fold that, and then put those 3 back, and then the last one. I sort of turned that upside down, didn't I, that time? Doesn't matter. Okay, and then fold that. So those are the 4 folds that we need. Where's the front of my box gone? Right, that's where it is. So now all I need to do is to adhere that together, and for that I'm going to use Tombow. I imagine fast fuse would work for that. Whatever you choose to use will be visible, but I really don't think that that's an issue, because it will be at the back and it's not as if you're going to be able to see a lot. Right, so keep losing the front of my box. That's it. Now if, like me, you're using Tombow, you just need to give it a few seconds to get a grip. But as you bring your box round, make sure this is fitting nice and tightly, and make sure that that is lining up properly. Again, if you've got Tombow, you've got time to move that. Okay, so that fits nicely, and just make sure that you're going to be able to get your box in and out, especially, particularly rather, if you're using the same as me in as much as a workbox. I'm saying that I'm going to use the thin ones, the thin snow at the top, but I'm not. I was just thinking that it didn't really sound right when I said that. And for some reason I find these easier to put on from the top than the other way round. I don't know why that would be. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this. Now we know the one there that's got full 3 houses there, full 3 houses there is going to be our front one. So we're going to do exactly the same as we have with our vellum. We're going to pop that on there in the centre, and then we're going to fold that, and we're going to fold that. So that's where those 2 creases are going to go. Again, line this up nice and straight. Just give it a pinch. Line that up nice and straight. Give it a pinch. And then hold those 2 in place. And then give that one a pinch. Give that a fold. Give it a proper fold. And then a pinch. Fold that, make sure it all lines up nicely, give it a pinch, and then we're ready to adhere it onto our box. And you should find that the houses actually go over each other almost perfectly. Okay, not much of a overlap there. I mean, the overlap is almost perfect, and the overlap on that one was almost perfect as well. So die cutting it the way I've suggested is obviously a good way to go. Now we're going to adhere this to our box, and again I'm using Tombow, and what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just going to do the front houses. Again, I would imagine fast views would work. Okay, so that's the front of my box, and I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to make sure it fits along the bottom of my vellum. Okay, so box nice on the floor, push that on the desk rather, and then you can make sure your houses are on the desk as well. Just give that a little bit of the press on the houses and a snowy bit. Okay, so that all adheres down. Right, let's give that a push that way so that can be sticking down nicely. Now I'm going to put glue on these 6 houses, 3 either side. And then 3 on this side as well. And then this comes up, making sure that it all lines up nicely here with the edge of the vellum. It is nice and easily done with Tombow. Okay, so again, give it a good pressing. Obviously there are little bumps of snow underneath this, which is making it fight back a little bit, but it will stick. You can feel the bumps as you run your finger along. Okay, so the last bit we have to do now is for this. So what I'm going to do is Tombow on these. And then get them to adhere down. that should be good. Making sure it's still up and down, that's fine. Now the last piece we have to do is our piece of ribbon. Again, we're going to do exactly the same. Find out, and you could do this whichever way you like, if you feel that it looks better that way, or if you like it that way. I prefer it like this, and I try and do it so that the scallops come just over the top of the vellum, like that one. But it's your choice, whichever way you prefer it to be. So I'm having a look at this so that that looks about halfway, and then I'm looking at the actual design on the what would you call these three sets of patterns? Don't know. So I've got 3 complete ones in the middle there. I'm not going to be too fussy, but 3 is good for me. So again, like before, just fold those over. Make sure the scallops line up level, and then give a squeeze. Hold it as it goes around. Make sure it's straight. Give that a squeeze, and give that a squeeze. Just make sure it's straight. Make sure that's straight. Right, now this is where the fun begins, because we've got to put glue on here. I'm going to be using Tombow, and my Tombow has been coming out very quickly today. Sorry, I knocked the camera. It's still there. Yep. So I've got this scrap sheet. If it comes out too quickly, then I'm going to have to give it a quick dab on there. And also what I'm going to do with this one is I am going to glue all the way along. In fact, I'll leave just the end bits, I think. I'll do those. See, this is coming out so quickly. So I'm going to do the front and the 2 sides for glue at the moment. Again, you could use fast fuse for this. I don't like the idea that with fast fuse you get the glue in between the holes, if you know what I mean. Right, now if I try putting that down onto my lantern, that is going to ooze all over the place. So I'm just running that along there and pulling it off. You can see how much glue was on there. Let's put that there to dry. So let's bring this one over again. Move my silicone sheet. Right, that's the front. Now I'm just moving my vellum down slightly, so that when I put pressure on this, I'm not going onto emptiness. Right, so that's the first one. Just make sure that my scallops are going over the top of the vellum. This is quite easy to see. Right, and then I bring this one round. And you see what I mean about how easy it is to get Tombow onto the box, particularly when you're doing this bit. Get that one round as well. I'm just making sure I can't see any vellum at the lowest dip between the scallops. And then I didn't glue those, did I? So just see if we can get a little bit here. If this comes up too much, then I would use my kitchen towel to mop it off. Bit of multitasking here, holding that side down while I'm putting glue on this side. And that one as well. Okay, so that's all lined up. There's a bit there that didn't actually cut properly. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. I'm just going to trim that bit off. I'm trying to do this cack-handed. That's what my mum always used to say about me. I'm very cack-handed. I'm not quite sure. Oops, I'm not quite sure what cack-handed means. But, right, there we go. So that's that. Now I'm going to make my box. But first of all, I'm going to make sure that my hands are clean. I put a bow around this one just to show you that you could decorate this bit if you like. Right, let's hope I'm clean enough. Okay, so the boxes come like this. They do actually call them clear tiny treat boxes, but I think that's a really nice size, generous box. I think they're small. Anyway, as you can see, this has got a protective wrap around it. What you need to do, these are really quite robust. If you squeeze them to go like that and then squash it the other way, you can flatten that down and flatten that down. And then the next bit I do is for the lid. Let's move those aside so you can actually see this. Okay, the lid is the one with the little flap on it. Okay, so that bit there. Now I'm going to fold the lid down. I'm going to fold it right inside so that I can actually make that crease a good crease. And the reason I'm being particular about that is because I don't want it coming up above there. Okay, so there's that. Then those two fold down. Now these all fold down. And just fold them down and bring them back out again. And I certainly leave the protective covering on while I'm doing all of this bit. Right, now that's all done, then I will take this off. This is such a good idea to have this wrapped around it. Okay, so now I'm going to put this together. So first of all, this one with the U shape on it, that goes down first, and then the two sides go down, and the little tab bit clicks underneath into that line. Okay, so it goes like that. I hope you're seeing that. And then this tab here, that one, will push down and go underneath there. Oops. That's it. Okay, so that's the bottom. And then for the top, just give that a bit of a squeeze again. Let's get myself a candle. Now these are only suitable for battery operated tea lights. Right, let's have a look. Oh, that's clever, isn't it? Oh, that was already on. Oh, okay. Right, so that goes in there. And before I close it, one other thing I do is I hold on to the lid at the fold here and just fold this back a bit to try and get it to curl so that when it's closed it goes in a bit of a dip rather than an over. it's concave or convex, and I never did learn which was which. It's either in or out to me, or up or down. Okay, so that's like that. So I've got a nice clean box, and I can take my dirty box away and pop that on. So there we go. Simple, isn't it? Really, really easy. I hope you've enjoyed today's project. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you, I did bring over some, oh, here we go. If you wanted to do these in a coloured cardstock or designer series paper, or just decorate them, that will give you an idea of what that looks like. That's from our Quilted Christmas designer series paper. So you could get that to fit in with whatever your colour scheme is. Or there's another piece here, can't think what this was called, but it's our foil design. So that's all nice and glittery. It was plain on the other side, that's all right. Okay, so lots of ideas that you could do with these. As I say, the ribbon is one idea. But many thanks for joining me today. I will show you that one, even though I'm not totally happy with it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the box below the video. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, obviously not the battery operated tea lights, there'll be a link to my 24/7 shop in the box below. Also in the box below I'll put the measurements of the cardstock and the other products that I've used. All the details will be down there. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate that. And even more, if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that would be brilliant. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, cheerio. Before I go, don't forget I'm about to turn the lights off, okay? So, here goes. I'll see you next time. Nearly there. There we go. That's what it's like, totally dark, which is why I say it looks better in subdued lighting. Hope you like it. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.